The Indian general election is the largest management exercise in the entire world. I've traveled around quite widely, mainly to meet my counterparts in other parts of the world, and they are absolutely boggled about the figures and how we can actually get this organized. That they feel that a country with such large numbers, 716 million voters, by the time we did the May 2009 general election, 502 electoral cards, 735,000 polling stations, 1.2 million electronic voting machines. Just the figure of 582 million that had got the cards, or about 450 million who voted, was more than all of Africa put together, more than Europe and Russia put together, more than North and South America put together. So how do we get this huge enterprise actually going, and going with a fair degree of precision, so that at the end of an election like 2009, there were hardly any complaints that emanated to the election commission. So what was it that we were able to do, and how did we do it? In 2009, after the election was done, the president of the US said that by successfully completing the largest exercise of popular voting in the world, the elections have strengthened India's vibrant democracy and upheld the values of freedom and pluralism that make India an example for us all. End of quotation. Now, when we draw up an election schedule, we do not consult the executive. We do not consult the chief minister of the state. We do not consult the prime minister. There are some times in the year that we can't do elections. For example, we do not do them at examination time. We do not do it if the weather is particularly inhospitable, like during the rains. But keeping examinations, geography, climate, distance, and so on in mind, within the parameters, it is only the election commission that determines the time. And we have no consultations with the executive at all. Our consultations are limited to calling in the Union Home Secretary to find out how much central force is available. But even then, we give no hint when the election may be due, what the exact. Because only when we know how much force is available to us, then we can plan the phases and so on and so forth. We also need to call in the Union Defense Secretary when I want helicopters or something like that, and I'll tell you why. But short of these interactions with two chief important secretaries to the Union government, there is nothing else. We do our very best to ensure that there's a level playing field. Because if there is no level playing field, we cannot deliver a democratic election. And therefore, consultation with the independent candidate who may have no backing, and with the opposition in every state, and the opposition will belong to any party, the opposition has to feel comfortable. And only if they get that level of comfort can you hope to do an election. So whether we were meeting the top leaderships in Delhi, or we were meeting the state leaderships as we went around the states, or the district magistrate was meeting the local equivalents, or the subdivisional magistrate was meeting his equivalents or her equivalents, the fact of the matter was there was only one mandate. Find out what the political opposition is uncomfortable about. So when they would say, I would say, be specific. You can't do management unless you're not specific. If you tell me you have a problem in the whole of Andhra Pradesh, that's not going to help me. But if you're going to tell me that in your constituency, you are worried about the following 432 polling stations, then I have a specific target that I can address. So it's about being specific. So it will always, don't give me general talk. Give me specific problems that you have, to which I'll find a specific solution. So what was the solution that we found as we looked at the whole landscape of India? It would be like this. that number one, that as soon as the model code of conduct is announced on the electronic media, our model code comes into operation that second. And that means that the playing field is leveled. That means that if you're a minister or you are a chairman of a commission or whatever it is, you're a white ambassador or whatever it is, your lal batti has to go. You will not go to an election meeting in an official car. If you do, we will chastise you. And so on. So when I came into the Election Commission in 2005, there were lots of these violations. And when I look back to 2009 general election, there were hardly any violations. So there was more cooperation, I speak very broadly, from the political class, but also fear from the political class of the Election Commission that the Election Commission was getting perhaps too robust. And so the result was that if I were to even ask the Election Commission to give me empirical figures, the figures of violation would be coming down like that.